Alright, so I've just had an absolutely stunning session off Anglesey. There were loads of bass about, massive shoals in them at times. There's a shoal about 50 or 100, and I saw them from the surface, and I missed one off the surface, and they're all milling around underneath me, and I had time to reload, duck dive back down and missed again. Stacks of fish about, shot 2 nice bass, and I think I found 5 lobsters in total, and all of these lobsters were too deep in the cave to extract, but overall was a really good session. I'll roll into the footage now. Apparently if you like and subscribe to the channel, it helps the channel grow on YouTube, so if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, enjoy the footage. It's a great session.
So I headed out to one of my favourite marks of Anglesey. This one's off the southwesterly facing coast of Anglesey. It can get quite battered by the wind, but it's pretty calm today. It's a really strong northeasterly wind, which was pretty cold on my back. And this particular mark has got really cool structures to the kelp. So most of the areas that are productive are between 3 and 6 metres deep. There's often plenty of bass here, and it can be quite a difficult style of diving because it's very hard to have enough weight on that you are neutrally buoyant at 3 metres without dipping below the surface when you breathe up. But initially, very few fish about, which is quite strange. I expected to see some straight away, but what this mark does have is some really cool sandy gullies, and you can see me heading just into one here. It's actually really nice to swim through these. It's quite cool. Occasionally you'll see fish and shoot them in these, but it's quite interesting just to free dive sometimes. I think it'd be quite nice to come back here without a gun, just have a little explore around. Initially very few fish about, unfortunately, so I kept on looking and kept on diving. You can see here just dropping down to this rocky kind of reef area, plenty of structure in the water, and I was just surrounded by wrasse. You can't see them that well in this footage, but there's hundreds and hundreds of small wrasse there, and it's quite nice just having something to watch when you're in the water. I find it really dispiriting when there's no fish to look at. And after a while, as the tide flooded in, the baitfish started turning up. You can see a massive shoal of sprats there, like little piranhas actually, going all crazy for my dive line. They're just all round it. I guess fish maybe just like structure in the water. But I wasn't really seeing any bass or larger pollock about, so I thought I'd have a look for some lobsters. Now these kind of reefy areas here are perfect. There's not too much kelp on them. And there you go, perfect little cave there. And what do I find? There's a big lobster in there straight away. So I try and grab him quickly before he can get out. But obviously that's quite a low percentage way to try and grab one. So it was going to be straight back to the surface to breathe up, and I was confident of getting this one. Big lobster, wasn't going too deep in its cave when I went down to it. Dangled the torch in, tried to get it to attack the torch and come out. Anyway, went down with my spear, thought I could maybe hook it out with the spear. Let's have a look. Back into that cave, there's a perfect lobster cave in there, and you can't really see it too well in the footage, but the cave actually goes up at the back of it. It's like a curved shape. That's what made it so difficult to get in there with the spear. I could see the lobster the whole time. It's so frustrating just knowing it was right there. I couldn't get it. So it's going to be back up to the surface to breathe up yet again. So I'm going for these lobsters about 8 metres down. So it's a bit frustrating really, because if the lobsters are only 2 metres down, then it's easy to keep on going down and back up. But at this sort of depth, you do obviously need to breathe up properly. So I dropped down again here, and I actually decided to look at some slightly different areas of the lobster, and believe it or not, there are 3 lobsters within about a metre of each other. You can see one in there, just see its claw. 3 big lobsters within about a metre of each other, all in successive caves on this small reef. Anyway, so I left that one, and I tried to poke out a different one, which you can quite see here. There's good holes for conger as well. Probably some conger in these holes too, but I didn't see any this dive. See the lobster there, giving a little poke. This is looking good, it's going well so far. And out of breath, back up to the surface yet again. So getting a bit frustrating now. These lobsters are there, but they're so hard to get out. So back for that first lobster. And it's back in its cave. Typical. So it's getting ready to give up now. It's getting Really, really frustrating, but I knew the lobsters were there. I knew I could probably get one. I just kept on working them, and I look in another hole, and there is another lobster in there. It's absolutely insane, the numbers of them. They're all really, you see how deep they are in the caves, they're just almost impossible to get out. And it shoots past me! Oh, unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So frustrating.
Alright, so it did get a bit amateur at this point, so I saw a huge group of bass, probably about 100 fish, just milling around right underneath me in about 3 metres of water, and I missed one off the surface, quite a nice fish, and the fish were all still there. They didn't even spook. So I reloaded the gun, but I didn't bother wrapping the line properly, and I duck dived down again, and I thought I'd have another crack.
Alright, so you can't really see the bass in this clip, but they're all milling around straight underneath me, some quite big ones as well. And I was just faffing with the spear. It's horrible when everything's tangled and you know the fish are right there and you're trying to reload as fast as possible. It's so frustrating. But I didn't even bother wrapping the dive line. I just loaded one band, put it on straight away, and I went straight back down, and there were bass everywhere. And you see a massive shoal right there, and I move on to them far too quickly and spook the whole lot. And then start lining up on a small bass, tracking the gun as fast as I can. It's point blank and missed. Terrible, terrible shooting. So headed back down, bit more calmly this time, and I waited for these bass to come back in. This is about half an hour later now. I'm in the same sort of area, and lo and behold, pretty quickly, grunted a few times. Hopefully you can hear that on the video, and then a few bass start to cruise in. This one here is a bit small, so I just leave it, and it's over the minimum size, but I'd rather shoot a slightly bigger fish today. Another one goes to the left, ignore that one, it's too small. It's a better one further away. Take my time and drill it. Much better shooting. Nice calm shot. So bring that one back up to the surface, and head back down and go for my second bass of the day. So one of the types of areas I find really productive, especially in these kind of shallow marks, anywhere where there's a change in terrain. So you can see here, it's just on the edge of the sand. This isn't very deep, this is only about 5 metres, just as the kelp starts to thin out. And I've been experimenting with grunting as well for bass, and I'm finding it definitely works. You know, the grunting is really effective. I've been told by some other spearos that it scares them off, but I disagree massively. I think the grunting brings the bass in, and you can hear me doing it, and pretty soon you'll see a big school coming in. It's really exciting when these sort of moments occur spearfishing, and the bass are just everywhere. Oh, so many of them, it's brilliant. You can see them just cruising around pretty calmly in front of me. Could have shot any of these fish. That's just trying to pick out a standout fish in the shoal. And then a decent one comes in, drilled it.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. Had a really cool dive there, an absolutely stunning mark, loads of fish about, shot 2 quite nice bass. I'll be uploading some more videos about some of the dives I've done over the last few weeks. So if you do subscribe to the channel, then you won't miss them. If you enjoy the video, then please do give it a like. It helps the channel grow. And over the next few videos, we're looking at some of the tactical aspects of spearfishing as well, looking at how deep do you actually need to dive to shoot fish, how long do you actually need to hold your breath for, and how much bottom time do you actually need to have to be in with a shot of catching big fish. We're going to look at some of the technical aspects of shooting as well. So shooting an assault rifle is in many ways similar to shooting a spear gun. We'll be looking at some of the things that you learn in the military about shooting, particularly with achieving better accuracy with your shot placements. We'll also be looking at some of the tactical aspects of hunting different species, like what sort of terrain do you want to look for bass in, what sort of tide states, what sort of weather conditions are best. All these kind of factors can come into play deciding whether you have a successful day spearfishing. So anyway, if you subscribe to the channel, then you won't miss out on these. There should be some quite interesting content coming soon. Otherwise, enjoy your diving.